Welcome to Minute of Wisdom. Today we're exploring one of the most profound and misunderstood practices in ancient Chinese philosophy, Xinzhai, or the fasting of the mind, from the teachings of Zhuangzi. Zhuangzi, also known as Zhuangzi, was a Taoist philosopher who lived in the 4th century BCE. While Confucius emphasized ritual and social order, Zhuangzi pointed towards something radically different, a way of being that comes not from accumulation, but from emptying, not from effort, but from letting go. The concept we're diving into today is Xinzhai, which literally translates as the fasting of the heart-mind. Now, when we hear the word fasting, we typically think of abstaining from food. But Zhuangzi is talking about something far more fundamental. He's talking about fasting from concepts, from judgments, from the constant mental chatter that fills our consciousness, from the moment we wake until we fall asleep. Let me read you a passage from the Zhuangzi. Confucius in the text is instructing his student Yan Hui. He says, "Make your will one. Do not listen with your ears, listen with your mind. No, do not listen with your mind, but listen with your spirit." Listening stops with the ears. The mind stops with recognition. But spirit is empty and waits on all things. The way gathers in emptiness alone. Emptiness is the fasting of the mind. This is the core teaching. Emptiness is not a void, not a lack. It's a state of receptivity. It's the condition that allows reality to present itself without the distortion of our preconceptions, our categories, our desires, and aversions. Think about how we normally engage with the world. We don't actually see what's in front of us. We see our interpretation of what's in front of us. Someone speaks, and before they finish their sentence, we've already categorized them, judged their intent, formulated our response. We're not listening, we're waiting to speak. We're filtering everything through our accumulated beliefs, our personal history, our fears and hopes. Zhuangzi is saying, what if you could stop that? What if you could encounter reality directly, without the mediating layer of conceptual thought? This is Xinzhai, the fasting of the mind. Now, this might sound abstract, but it has immediate practical applications. In modern psychology, we talk about non-judgmental awareness, the cornerstone of mindfulness practice. Research shows that this capacity to observe without immediately categorizing and reacting reduces anxiety, enhances emotional regulation, and improves decision-making. Zhuangzi was teaching this 24 centuries ago. The practice of Xinzhai involves 3 movements: stopping, emptying, and receptive listening. Let's break each one down. First, stopping. This is the initial gesture. We're so addicted to mental activity, to analysis, to the constant production of thought. Xinzhai begins with the recognition that we can pause this. Not suppress it, not fight it, but simply notice it and choose for a moment to let it settle. Like muddy water that clears when you stop stirring it. In the passage I quoted, Zhuangzi tells us not to listen with the ears and not even with the mind. The ears hear sounds but impose no meaning. The mind hears and immediately recognizes, categorizes, judges. But the spirit, what Zhuangzi calls qi, this is the vital energy that is empty and therefore open to all things. This is the state we're cultivating. Second, emptying. This is where the fasting metaphor becomes clear. In physical fasting, you abstain from food to allow the digestive system to rest and reset. In mental fasting, you abstain from conceptual overlay. You temporarily suspend your beliefs about how things should be, your labels, your narratives. This doesn't mean you lose your knowledge or your discernment. It means you hold them lightly. You recognize that your map is not the territory. Your concept of a tree is not the actual tree. Your idea of a person is not the living, breathing, changing human in front of you. Emptying creates space, and in that space, something new can emerge. something you couldn't have planned or predicted because it doesn't fit your existing categories. Third, receptive listening. This is the fruition of the practice. When you've stopped the automatic interpretation and emptied the space of preconceptions, you can finally listen. Not just to words, but to what's actually being communicated. Not just to events, but to the natural unfolding of reality itself. Zhuangzi uses the term Ziran, often translated as spontaneity or naturalness, but more precisely meaning self-so, the way things are of themselves. When you practice Xinzhai, you align with Ziran. You stop imposing your will, your agenda, your narrative, and you allow things to reveal themselves as they are. This is profoundly countercultural, especially today. We live in a world that valorizes accumulation. More knowledge, more skills, more productivity, more control. We're told that success comes from adding, from doing more. Zhuangzi is teaching the opposite. That wisdom, real wisdom, comes from subtraction, from unlearning, from letting go, from becoming empty. Enough to receive what's actually here. Let me give you a concrete example. Imagine you're in a conflict with someone you care about. Your partner, a family member, a colleague. The normal mode is this. They speak, and immediately you're formulating your defense, your counter-argument. You're not actually hearing them. You're rehearing your interpretation of them, filtered through your hurt, your righteousness, your need to be right. Now imagine applying Xinzhai. You stop. You recognize that impulse to defend, to interpret, to react. You don't act on it. You empty. You temporarily set aside your narrative about the situation. This doesn't mean you agree with them or abandon your perspective. It means you hold it loosely enough to actually hear what they're saying. Then you listen. You receive their words, their emotion, their reality without immediately overlaying your story onto it. What happens? Often you discover that what you thought they were saying is not what they were actually saying. You find points of connection you couldn't see before. The conflict doesn't necessarily disappear, but it transforms because now there's actual communication happening. Not just two people broadcasting their separate realities at each other. This is the power of Xinzhai in relationships, in work, in any domain, where you interact with reality that doesn't conform to your expectations. Now let's connect this to the reflection questions, because this is where philosophy becomes practice. First, question what belief or label are you holding that you could set down for just 10 minutes today? We all carry these. Labels about ourselves. I'm an anxious person. I'm not creative. I'm someone who always fails at this. Labels about others. They're selfish. They don't respect me. They'll never change. These labels feel like truth, but they're constructs. They're stories you're telling. The practice is to identify one and consciously set it aside for a short period. Not forever, not even for the whole day. Just 10 minutes. Notice what happens when you interact with yourself, or that person without the label. What do you see that you couldn't see before? Second question, when someone is speaking to you, what do you need to subtract in order to hear them? As they are, without your interpretation. This is direct Xinzhai practice. Most of us are terrible listeners, because we're so busy interpreting, anticipating, judging. What if you could listen with emptiness, with space? Try this. Next conversation you have, practice listening without planning your response. Just receive. Notice how hard this is. Notice how strong the urge is to jump in, to fix, to agree or disagree. That's the mind that needs fasting. And notice what you hear when you don't. Third question, if you temporarily empty the should narrative, what small natural movement wants to happen right now? We're so governed by shoulds. I should be more productive. I should exercise. I should call that person. And often these shoulds create paralysis or resentment. They're external impositions on your natural energy. Zhuangzi would ask, what does your Ziran, your natural self, actually want to do right now? Not what you think you should want, but what genuinely arises when you're not forcing. This doesn't mean indulge every impulse. It means distinguish between authentic desire and conditioned obligation. The former energizes you. The latter depletes you. Fourth question, when can you practice putting attention on something without designing the outcome? This is perhaps the deepest Xinzhai practice. We're so goal-oriented. We meditate to become calmer. We listen to become better communicators. We practice to get results. All of this is the opposite of emptying. It's filling with agenda. True Xinzhai is attention without purpose, presence without outcome. You do the thing for its own sake, not for what it will get you. You sit in meditation not to achieve peace, but simply to sit. You have a conversation not to convince or connect, but simply to be present. This is Wu Wei, effortless action, the natural consequence of emptying. When you practice this, something paradoxical happens. By not grasping for outcomes, you often achieve better outcomes. By not forcing, things flow. This isn't magic, it's the natural result of aligning with reality, rather than fighting it. Zhuangzi's Xinzhai is not a technique to master. It's a way of being to return to, again and again. You can't do it once and be done. It's a continuous practice of noticing when you're full, when you're gripping, when you're imposing, and choosing instead to empty, to soften, to receive. In our hyper-connected, information-saturated age, this practice is more essential than ever. We're drowning in input, in opinions, in noise. We've lost the capacity for silence, for emptiness, for receptivity. We've forgotten how to listen, not just to others, but to ourselves, to the natural rhythm of our own lives. Xinzhai offers a way back, not by adding more, but by subtracting, not by achieving, but by allowing, not by filling up, but by emptying out. This week, I invite you to experiment. Pick one of those 4 questions and live with it. Don't try to answer it intellectually. Live it. Practice it. See what emerges when you fast from the mental habits that usually govern you. And notice, this isn't about becoming passive or checked out. Zhuangzi was one of the most engaged, creative, responsive thinkers in history. Emptiness doesn't mean absence of action. It means action that arises from alignment with what is, rather than from the ego's agenda. As Zhuangzi wrote, the perfect man uses his mind like a mirror, going after nothing, welcoming nothing, responding but not storing. That's the state of Xinzhai. Present, responsive but not clinging. Empty but full of possibility. Thank you for spending these 10 minutes with me. If this practice speaks to you, subscribe to Minute of Wisdom for more philosophical frameworks for modern life. And remember, sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is nothing. Not as escape, but as presence. Not as emptiness, but as readiness. See you next time.